We begin tonight with our nation's heroes going hungry. According to a new report by the hunger relief charity Feeding America, 25%, a quarter of military families, or 1 in 4 households, need help putting food on the table. Let's bring in Jessie Jane Duff, a military advisor for Concerned Veterans for America. And Jessie, I got to tell you, this is all over the country: Delaware, California, Texas, Virginia. What we're seeing now is these food banks setting up shop on military bases. Why?
Well, you know, we should not be surprised because the military this year had a cap on only a 1% increase on their salary. That was 0.8% less than what you would see out in the private sector. So essentially, while gas prices are going up, housing is going up, all food costs are going up, their pay went down. So ultimately, when you can't budget at the end of the month, you're going to start having to make cuts, and usually it comes out in your food.
We're talking about 620,000 households that have at least one soldier or reservist in them. A lot of people here. And what's really, it's not like these people aren't trying to make it. From what we read in the stories, when you see these soldiers, these heroes quoted directly, they say, you know, look, you know, we're shacking up with other people. We're sharing apartments with friends. We're trying to save money with coupons. They're doing all the right things, and yet they still can't make it. What does that tell you about military pay right now?
It will disgust me because Secretary Hagel said that we have extremely generous benefits in the military and that they're going to put a cap on this. Well, you know, Secretary Hagel, if it's so generous, then how come only 1% of this country serves its nation? And if you're so eager to make cuts on the backs of the military to balance your budget, why not audit the Pentagon where all the excess spending is going on? And why not go where the cuts can be made, where taxpayer dollars are going to waste? Why are we balancing the budget on our military families when we have a $17 trillion debt and we're not reeling in all of our other programs where we know excessive spending is going amok?
Well, you make a very good point. I want to add one other number in here. The median monthly household income of people receiving this sort of aid, $927, just $927. Imagine you're trying to feed a family on that. Imagine maybe you have other family members living with you as well. It's a real stretch for folks out there. You talk about the pressures on the budget. I have to tell you, what are military members themselves telling you about this?
Well, you know, it's taking away a lot of the incentives when we're looking at, you know, we've got majors out on the battlefield getting their pink slips, and meanwhile, these caps on spending on their salary increases are going to be going only into 2017. We're only getting a 1% increase. So guess what? The average Marine sergeant is going to lose $5,000 a month in pay, $5,000 a year in pay once all of these things go into play. Their commissary privileges are going to get reduced, their health increases are going to happen, and their housing costs are going to go up, and the cut in pay. You add all that up, an 03 captain or a sergeant is going to see $5,000 loss over a period of a year if all of President Obama's and Secretary Hagel's cuts go through.
You know, they describe it as food insecurity. What I call it is hunger. And we've been studying what's been going on at the grocery store, and prices are only growing up in almost every category.
Horrible.
You talk about meat, you talk about milk, you talk about the eggs, all the basics, prices are going up. Before you go, I think this is part of a larger story because you and I have talked a lot about the VA, the Veterans Administration. If you had to sum up the track record of this administration in taking care of our nation's heroes, what would you say?
Oh, it's incorrigible. They have demonstrated no benefit to joining the military by the way they treat the veterans and the active duty military. And the reality is I recommend to everybody to serve who loves this country, but it gets very hard to sustain that when you see these significant cuts on the backs of the military members themselves.
Well, Jessie, thanks for coming on. It's always so good to have you on this show. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Jerry.